Hello and welcome to another episode of the Malik Show, Part 2. This is yours truly, Malik Shabazz Sullivan, and I'm so glad that you have come to this July edition. But on tonight, we are in Part 2, continuing on. We are with a special guest, the one and only New York's own Pastor David Wright. He is live and he is with us right here. Yes, indeed. And while we wish we would have had him in person, but it's all good and dandy. But David is live via FaceTime Live. He is with us, and we are continuing on in Part 2. Now, in Part 1, we had talked with David on his family. As you know, we talked a lot about his dad, the late Bishop Timothy Wright. We talked about his wife and his children. We also talked about his fashion tips and stuff. Now we are moving on in Part 2. Now, David, as you are still with us, I know the connection, as you all can see, is kind of in and out. David, still with us, my brother?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You're still with us. Okay. Now we are merging into Part 2. We got a lot to talk about in Part 2, but before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor David Wright is a celebrity. You talk about Vincent Bohannon, you talk about Kevin Bond, you talk about James Hall, but you got to talk about David Wright. He's somebody special. Now, for Part 2, we have some pictures of him with some of gospel's greatest. And producer, let's stop right here because we want to talk a little bit about Pastor David Wright and his wife with this humble man servant who had transitioned on just last week. Pastor David, while we have you on live, the first question on tonight is we have some pictures of you with some important, great people. Let's talk about you and now that has transitioned into glory, the late Bishop Andrew Ford.
Yeah, Bishop Ford, and sadly he went on to be with the Lord on last week. But Bishop Ford was a great friend of our ministry. He's been to our church to preach several times, and I have a standing engagement. I go to his church for a memorial church every year.
Yes, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I go for his anniversary in Philadelphia. And Bishop Ford was a great man of God. He will truly be missed. And Philadelphia is not just in Philadelphia, but all across the world. People knew Bishop Andrew Ford and the Ford Memorial Church and their church choir. Some of Philadelphia's greatest musicians and gospel artists have come through that church, such as Ty Tribbett and Omar Edwards and so many others, man. And he's going to be truly missed, and let's keep his family in prayer, and let's keep that church family in prayer. What a lot of people don't know is his wife passed 2-3 years ago, so now the church family has to deal with another passing. So let's keep that church family in our prayers. Bishop Ford, a great man of God, a good friend of mine.
Yes, indeedy. And again, when I get arrangements to the homegoing, I'm going to definitely try my best to make it to Philadelphia, knowing that it's a lot of stuff. You know, we got GMWA and, other convocations, jurisdictional, but I will have to make this special homegoing celebration for this great man of God. We're moving on to the next picture. Well, this is one of my greatest sisters and friends in the world. I just love her every time when I see her. We always pick on each other, but she is a diva. She is New York's own, the one and only Miss Lillian Lloyd. Or I should call her the Acid Queen. Because she has a name, but that's my personal name for her. She's going to laugh when she sees this. But, David, let's talk a little bit about you and Lillian Lloyd's relationship and everything.
Yes, Lillian Lloyd, the ad-lib queen. That's my sister right there. And I've known her for years at a distance, but we really gotten much tighter in the last few years. She's actually on my latest project that will be coming out real soon. I wrote a song just for her. And Lillian Lloyd, I call her the Energizer Bunny because she never gets tired. She can sing all night long and never gets tired. Just keep going and going and going.
Oh,
Anointed woman of God, and don't just get it twisted. She can preach too.
Listen. She done it all within these last 4 or 5 years. Cause she definitely tore up last time when I saw her, and it's just every time when I see a breath of fresh air, great conversation, picture of course, and everything. I love her to death. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only David Wright and Lillian Lloyd. Let's move on to our next picture. Yes. Well, we have you and the one and only Bishop Paul Morton. So let's talk a little bit about you and Bishop Morton.
Yes, Bishop Paul Morton. Him and my father were friends for years. I'm talking about their friendship went back 30 years. And we continued that friendship. I don't know if you know his son, PJ Morton. We continue that relationship with him and us as well. But Bishop Paul Morton, that was at the men's conference, the Kojic men's conference. I had the pleasure of being the sermonic soloist before he preached. And my God, that man is a preaching, singing, anointed somebody. And he's a good friend of my family. I thank God for him as well. And we've crossed paths. We shared the stage together many times. I thank God for Bishop Paul Morton. Very humble man. Loving,
yes, he
kind
is.
Man.
I can personally testify to that. He is definitely humble and nice. Yes, indeed. We're going to move on to the next picture. Well. I know you got a lot. We all got a lot to say about this man, but might I say, he is the one and only Reverend Al Sharpton. So, David, I know, listen, brother, let's talk about you and the one and only Reverend Al Sharpton.
Well, Reverend Al Sharpton has known me all of my life. From the day I was born. Him and my father came up together in the same church, Washington Temple, Church of God in Christ.
Now, Paul, I want to ask a question real quick. Washington Temple Church of God in Christ, that is the late Bishop F.D. Washington, founder and prelate.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And Reverend Al Sharpton actually knew my mom before he knew my father, because he was a boy preacher. He was preaching since he was 6 years old. And my father and Reverend Al Sharpton remained close all those years. And even since the passing of my father, Reverend Sharpton, I minister with him at least 4 times a year. I also play the organ for his National Action Network. Whenever they need me, they need my choir to come. And Reverend Al Sharpton is we know him as, the civil rights and politician, but listen, that man can preach. That man can preach, and he loves God, and he loves the people of God, and he loves the Lord, and he's anointed to do what he does. Reverend Al Sharpton will get you out of, people are afraid. When you just tell them Reverend Al Sharpton, they treat you different. So I thank God for him. He's really I call him Uncle Al, and I truly thank God for him. He lost a lot of weight here.
Oh,
People thinking that he was sick, but he's not sick. He's just on a special diet. I call him the lollipop man because he looks like a lollipop.
Well, listen, he's going to have to tell me about that special diet, but I'm trying to come down 5 or 6 down. But hey, we going to pray whatever I tell you. The one and only Reverend Al Sharpton, but Kojic might have to go and get him. If they can get Joel Osteen and Bishop T.D. Jakes, then they should get Al Sharpton for this year's. Listen. Okay, let me stop. Okay, we're moving on to our next picture. Yes. Well, here we got the one and only, the son of legendary Betty Ransom Nelson. David, let's talk.
That's Brian Nelson.
Yes, sir. The one and only.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about you and Brian's relationship.
Yeah, me and Brian, we all grew up as Kojic kids, Before it was called AIM, it used to be called the UNAC.
UNAC. Yep.
And we all grew up in UNAC. You know, my father was with the choir, and his mother was with the choir. So we all would just play around as kids, you know, thinking nothing of it, never knowing that we would be preachers today. And Brian Nelson, let me tell you, that man can preach.
Oh, yes, sir.
He's an awesome preacher, an awesome man of God, and I think he can sing his song too. So I thank God for our relationship. We are very good friends. We just had him in New York preaching at revival a couple of months ago. Thank God for Brian Nelson.
Yes, sir. The one and only Brian Nelson. Well, let's move on to the next picture, producer. Yes. Well, let's talk a little bit about you and the one and only Kim Burrell.
Kim Burrell. She is my favorite. First of all, she's my favorite gospel artist in the world. And secondly, and I told her this, she's known me ever since I was about maybe 12 or 13 years old. Kim Burrell, I'm going to tell you a story about me and Kim Burrell. It was about 22 years ago. I was 19 years old. And this was my first time playing at the AIM convention. And
what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
That was 1997. I want to say that was in Los Angeles, California.
Oh, wow, I tell you.
And Kim Burrell was on the organ, and, you know, I did okay. I played okay, and then she got on the organ, and she allowed me to sit on the edge of the organ on the side, on a chair, and watch her play. Kim Burrell encouraged me to continue my craft on organ. I had never seen a woman play the organ like that. She had high heels on and didn't miss a note. And I thank God for Kim Burrell. She's been very instrumental in my life. I used to play for her when she would come to New York, and she was just in New York not too long ago, and we put together a good band for her. So Kim Burrell, good people. I don't care, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, that she's stuck up, she this and that. You don't really get to know somebody just walking in the hallways of the AIM convention or the COVID convocation. You got to sit down and really get to know.
You got to know these people.
Yeah, some of these people are they're very nice, they're very sweet and very kind. You just got to get to know them and sit down and talk with them. And Kim Burrell is one. She's a one of a kind. She's a jewel.
Oh, you're right about that, David. You are right about that. Well, let's move on to our next picture. Okay, we talked. Oh, yes, right here. Well, I think we didn't hit the lottery. This is Pastor David Wright and the one and only. This is one of my favorite preachers. I love this guy, the one and only Bishop Carlton Pearson.
Oh, yes.
So, David, let's talk about
Bishop
you and
Carlton
Bishop Pearson.
Another man of God that has known me just about all of my life. And him and my father were very good friends. They were really tight. And Carlton Pearson, he actually redid one of my father's songs called Yes, the Presence of the Lord is in This Place. And with the whole Azusa movement and all of that stuff, Carlton Pearson, a lot of people see, you know, without Carlton Pearson, Bishop T.D. Jakes wouldn't have been where he is today. He put a lot of people on the map. If you can go back and remember how big that Azusa movement was that he was doing, it was amazing. And I know things have gone sideways now. I don't want to get into all the detail of that, but let's never forget how anointed Carlton Pearson is.
You know what, David? I'm going to say this. He is anointed. And, of course, we both know what it's about. But you know what? We still got love for the man. And, you know, we just continue to keep his spirit lifted. That's all. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Well, we're moving on to the next segment. All right. Well, Pastor David Wright, we just now talked about pretty much everything. Now, Pastor David Wright is a musician in his own style. We have two albums that have went fire in the billboards. We have right here the first, Pastor David Wright and the New York Fellowship Mass Choir, Next Generation, Clap Your Hands. And we have another album, producer, Pastor David Wright and the New York Fellowship Mass Choir. And I know that's a younger picture of David, Next Generation. Now, David, at this time, we want you to talk about, we've talked about family, we talked about you with some of the greatest people. Now, we want to talk about you and what you have accomplished musically. We have two albums that have went global. Let's talk a little bit about those albums.
Yes. After my father passed, you know, I decided, and a lot of the other people decided, that I should take the choir on. Don't let the choir just die out.
Exactly.
But keep it going. Mm-hmm. So I kept it going, and in 2010, I did my first album after my father's passing. I did about, I'm on about maybe 25 to 30 gospel CDs, either producing, playing, or singing. But after my father's passing, the first one I did was the Timothy Wright Memorial Choir. Mm-hmm. And that was very successful and now nominated for Stellar Award. Then I did the New York Fellowship Mass Choir, Next Generation. Mm-hmm. And on that CD, we have John P. Key, we have Crystal Rucker, we have Sean Bigby and Bruce Parham and so many others, and Tiffany Woodside, Tiffany Andrews, sorry. And then the next project we did was Clap Your Hands.
Clap Your Hands. Now let's go back, hold on for 1 second. Let's go back, producer, to Clap Your Hands album. I just want to read this one part. Yes. Clap Your Hands, which was the top 20 in the Billboard Gospel charts. Now, David, let's talk a little bit about Clap Your Hands.
Yes, Clap Your Hands is, that was a record that we did, and I like to stick to traditional gospel music. I know there's a lot of praise and work, a lot of contemporary stuff, but my style and my father's style was traditional. So with Clap Your Hands, I knew it would do well, but I really didn't think it would do this well. Mm-hmm. And it went well beyond my expectations. We actually went to number 12 or 13 on the Billboard charts with that song, and we were nominated for a Stellar Award with that project, and Contemporary Traditional Choir of the Year. We did not win it. You know, Chicago Mass Choir got it. Shout out to them; they're awesome. But it's always nice to be recognized. It's always nice to be noticed. And Clap Your Hands is an awesome CD. We have Tiffany Andrews on that song. She's actually one of the Sunday Best finalists right now. And she's featured on that song. And that song was written by a good friend of mine. We collabed on that, Brother Craig Hayes. And that's an awesome song. If you want to have church, put that song on, Clap Your Hands.
Clap Your Hands. Well, you know what? We have We have a video that we want to show on this final segment of the show. Producer, at this time, we want to show the video. Well, actually, you know what? We have a video that we want to show of David with singing "Clap Your Hands" at the Holy Convocation in St. Louis, Missouri. Let's play that clip. All right, that was Pastor David Wright at the Holy Convocation in St. Louis, Missouri, singing with the C.H. Mason Mass Choir, and I believe it was. If you remember, David, "We Come to Praise Him."
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now I believe that's one of your father's songs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. We redid it on our CD Next Generation, and that's called Enter His Gates.
Enter His Gates. So that's what the name of that was. Okay, I had mistakenly did that. But ladies and gentlemen, now David, might I say, Clap Your Hands is the album or on iTunes and stuff where we can go and purchase and listen to it and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yes, we got to support our dear brother. Well,
yeah, iTunes and CD Baby, Amazon, Tidal, all of that stuff is there.
Well, fans and viewers, you heard the Clap Your Hands, the album, Pastor David Wright and the New York Fellowship Mass Choir is on there. So you make sure you download it and you support my brother. You support now. Yes, indeedy. Well, we have another video. Now, producer, I want you to go to the last video. David, when I saw this video, I almost fell on the floor. And you know, your father was ministering on the organ, and I tell you, that was so powerful. But producer, it's the last video. Let's show that at this time. Well, that was Pastor David Wright and the New York Fellowship Mass Choir in a great performance. But again, producer, we want to show one more video clip while we're in this last 5 minutes of our final segment. It's the last video that is on. But producer, if you would play that of the Bishop Timothy Wright, the late Bishop Timothy Wright. We have just a video. It's the last video that we want to show. The last video. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, that was our final video. We had more, but due to time, we apologize for the technical difficulties. But that last clip was the one and only, the late Bishop Timothy Wright playing Amazing Grace on that organ. Killing it. But, yes. David, you know, I must say, my brother, you know, Bishop has rooted you well, and I must say, I am proud of where God has you at right now, not only as a great musician, not only as a great artist, but also pastoring a great church. And I will say this to you live, if I was living in Brooklyn, New York, which New York is one of my favorite places to come to get away from here, I will be a member, an honorary member, front row at your church.
Wow. God bless you, Malik, and I appreciate you for this opportunity, man, and I pray that God continues to bless you and enlarge your territory and bless your show, man. Nothing is impossible, and it's just going to get better and better and better. I appreciate you, man.
No problem at all. Well, we're 2 minutes into our final show, but David, in these last 2 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and let you go because Saints viewers and friends, he is out driving. So, but David, my last and final question to you on tonight is where and what do you see yourself doing within the next 10 years of your life?
Well, within the next 10 years, I'm expecting my record label, Godfather Records, to be one of the top gospel record labels in the country, as a matter of fact, in the world. And I also see myself helping to raise my grandchildren at that time. And I also see myself gearing towards retirement from pastoring. I'm not going to be pastoring at the age of 80 years old. I plan on retiring around 60, and I want to see the church go on into another level with somebody much younger than myself.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's where I see myself in the next 10 years. And I see my church blossoming, and I see us with multiple campuses in Brooklyn, New York. So that's my vision for the next 10 years.
Awesome. Well, David, I'm not going to keep you, but I thank you for being on my show, my brother. God bless, and I look forward to seeing you next week in D.C.
You got it. God bless you, man.
All right, brother. Take care. All right, fans and viewers. Well, there you have it. The one and only Pastor David Wright. I'm glad to have him on as a special guest on tonight, and this has been an awesome and an amazing show. Well, that does it. The July edition. I'll see you all next month in August. As you know, August is a special month for the Malik Show because that is where it all started. And as you know, September is coming, our 1-year anniversary show. So God is doing great things, and I expect a miracle. I expect the impossible. Be true, be you, Malik Shabazz Sullivan.